I've got a question for you. Are you a person that's either been through, is currently going through, or facing an uphill battle against cancer? Well, this video is for you. My name's Antoine. I'm a recent cancer survivor, and I qualify for all three of those things. The way I view it, I've been through, I'm going through, and I've certainly got some miles ahead of me. However, one of the things that I've discovered in my journey is that I'm not in this journey alone. So unlike some of my past videos, I've discussed my journey from my perspective. Today, I want to take a look at that same journey, but from a totally different perspective. What we quickly realize is that there's family, friends, and people that are near and dear to us that are involved, just as much involved with this journey as you are. Today, we're going to take a look at that journey through a totally different lens. That being the lens of and the perspective of one of my sons, Brendan. He is my youngest son, and he certainly has a take on how he saw things, how things are going, and what he expects out of this journey in the future. So I'd like to hear from him, and I think you would too. I think we can all learn and grow from it. So let's do that. So come on, join us for a sit-down conversation, see what he has to say. All right, well, welcome everybody back to the channel. Again, this is my channel, my YouTube channel, Rooted in Goodness. I'm your host for this venture, Antoine. And today we're going to do a little bit of a spin from your normal. Instead of just having me, I'm going to start a conversation today with my son. This is my youngest son, Brendan.
How y'all doing today?
All right, and Brendan is a young man that's on the right path. He is just completed his sophomore year, going to be a junior. So why don't you just open up by telling everybody a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, how y'all doing? My name is Brendan Ingram. I'm a rising junior at the illustrious North Carolina Central University. Studying mass communications with a concentration in sports broadcasting. I enjoy ministry, just talking about God, letting people know about God. I enjoy hanging out with friends, giving back to my community, and really just trying to enjoy fun in any way I can possibly.
Cool. Well, today, this is going to be, it's informal. Again, it's just a video that I've been doing since I started my channel. And what a lot of you may not be aware of, but this young man was instrumental in helping me kind of get this off the ground. Some of the ins and outs of the technical aspects of YouTube and social media, I wasn't that versed in. I kind of knew what I wanted to do, the message I wanted to convey. But he was very helpful in, the technical side of it. So very thankful to have him here today. But, kind of astray from the norm of the way I do these videos this is going to be more or less just a conversation. Throughout the channel, I've attempted to kind of convey and express my journey as it pertains to prostate cancer, and then just kind of addressing overall the health of Black men, health and wellness of Black men, of which we will qualify for that. So, but today I just wanted to be a conversation and around prostate cancer, kind of my journey, but I want to get it from the perspective of you as one of my sons that was, instrumental in this, because what I definitely come to realize is that while I was going through and still go through my journey, I realized that I wasn't and am not in it alone. So, yourself, as well as your brothers and mom, and some others that are in my life, I realize that you have a perspective of this journey as well. So today, that's what I just want to kind of explore a little bit and kind of touch and see where it goes from there. So
Sounds good.
All right. So with that said, of course, just to kind of recap, my journey started with prostate cancer, started about 3 years ago with that diagnosis, and brand new to me. obviously, but kind of wrapping my head around the diagnosis itself, what it meant, kind of the consequences, and what I had in front of me was something I was grappling with, trying to wrap my head around. But it got to a point, obviously, with speaking with mom and a lot of prayer and kind of going through that thought process. We obviously had to let you guys know what was going on and kind of get your input. So if you remember, we did all kind of sit down together and go over where we were, what it was, what we had found out to this point, and just a little bit about my diagnosis. So I want to kind of start there and just hear from you, from your perspective. What was that moment like? I mean, like getting the news, did you understand it? Did you comprehend what we were saying? What was going through your head?
Well, first I didn't really hear what type of cancer it was. I just heard you say cancer. And when I hear cancer, it's kind of like a scary word. So I kind of was just listening, but I wasn't as focused as I could be, because I already heard the word cancer. So I when I heard that, I kind of zoned out a little bit. But yeah, it took me a minute to process what you were saying, if that makes sense.
No, it fully does, because it took me more than a few minutes to process. And it's funny that you say that, because that was my immediate thought when I was in the doctor's office and I heard, well, he said prostate cancer and this and that, but the only word I keyed in on was cancer. And, I know my thoughts in that moment were all over the place. Like when you hear that word, then it goes everywhere else. But, to hear you say that too, I understand it. So, yeah, I understand it. So with that, I mean, getting that news and then again, trying to wrap your head around it, what were some of the thoughts? I mean, where did your head go?
I think one was if this does happen, how is that gonna affect all of us? Especially financially, really everything, financially, mentally, physically, all that, how that was gonna affect the whole family. And then also I mean, of course I started praying, because I knew that was gonna be a lot on you. So I kind of I guess I just got really empathetic about it, because I was worrying about you and how you were gonna take all of that on and stuff like that.
Okay. Yeah. I wish I had an answer for that then, if I could explain. But truth is, I didn't know. And from very honest, probably don't know at this point. It's kind of a day by day. Obviously you plan for the best and the best outcome, and then you do have to plan for the future. But in the moment, it really just comes down to faith, because you don't know, kind of how it's going to play out. But obviously, yeah, you do hope and pray for the best. Obviously, now, you obviously, we told you guys all at one time, sitting all together here at home. But do you think, and I'm sure you guys obviously talked, you and your brothers talked after the fact, but in that moment, do you think your thoughts were any different from your brothers, or?
No, not really. We had conversations about it and how we all felt about it. And one of the first things that we were all saying was that we have to stay together throughout all this. We have to make sure that us as brothers don't bring any more of a load to we need to like make things easier for you as possible, because we have no idea like how much, like I was saying earlier, like how much of a toll this could be on you.
Right.
So we're just trying to like come together and like really tell all of our thoughts and emotions so that things don't get avoided, but at the same time, like still hoping for the best and like praying for the best, stuff like that.
Okay. All right. So I can definitely understand those feelings, man. I'm glad, one of the things I've definitely been able to thank God for is that you guys had each other, and that you're relatively close, in age. And so there was the ability, I felt like there was more of an ability for you guys to relate to each other. Hopefully ask questions of each other to kind of see, because one of the things, also I was kind of mindful of and were left wondering is how much you guys knew about prostate cancer. I mean, was it new to you, or what were your thoughts, or what was your understanding of prostate cancer?
To be honest, I didn't really know anything about it.
Okay.
I know what like the basis of cancer is, like going on with your cells and stuff like that. Like I know the basics of it, but I didn't know like exactly what prostate cancer was. So I think it was a good opportunity for me to learn what it was.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I was kind of confused when I first heard it.
Mm. Do you have I won't say better, but do you have a different understanding of it, or a clearer understanding of it now? And what is that understanding of prostate cancer? Do you know what it is?
I would say yes. Like, I would say like it affects, I guess, like the strength and like toughness of your prostate, if that makes sense. Like,
well, yeah, I mean, it does affect the effectiveness of your prostate, and depending on how progressive it is or aggressive it is, as to whether or not you can keep your prostate. But in a nutshell, it's just part of our male reproductive system. Mm-hmm. And it's tightly compacted into your midsection, but all right near your rectum, all your genitals, and it can greatly affect like how you use the bathroom, like urinate, all that stuff. So, but the primary function that's affected or could be affected by is your sexual function, and then and or your ability to reproduce. So those are definitely concerns, that any man in this situation should have or could have, that should concern them. So, but I mean, I get it, because in terms of you saying you were confused or didn't know, that's where I was, to be frankly honest and with you about it. And kind of fast forwarding to now, or to this stage of where we're at, like 3 years later, that was probably the biggest motivator of me wanting to do this channel. Because starting with you three, I didn't want my journey to go kind of pass by night, and go unnoticed, if there was an opportunity to utilize my journey to help somebody else.
Right.
So if you were ever, God forbid, to face this situation, at least you would have a working knowledge of what it is, what some of your options are. You kind of have a basis in my story as to how it could go, what things could work, might not work. Right. So that's been my hope and desire from this channel, is to starting with you guys, and then kind of branching from there to the greater good, the greater public, just get information out there. Because one of the things that I quickly found, and I just kind of wanted to know all I could to know about it, was that there either one wasn't a whole lot of information out there, or two, there was information out there, but it was with people that weren't willing to share it. And as I've discussed in some of my other videos, this taboo that surrounds prostate cancer, understandable to a degree, because you are talking about sexual function, your ability to reproduce, what some would consider as your manhood. All those things, yeah, they are a consideration in this disease. However, when you weigh, like, not talking about it, not making somebody knowledgeable about it versus, kind of getting it out there and the benefits of that, for me anyway, it was kind of outweighed, something I felt like I had to do, and I'm glad to do. So I do appreciate, before we go any further, that's why I appreciate your willingness to kind of share with me in this journey. But I didn't want you for any reason to think that I thought I was going through it by myself, or that I thought you didn't have a say in it, or you didn't have a perspective, because I do recognize that you do. So, but tell us a little bit about, like, what are some of we talked about kind of where your thoughts went, but what are some of the feelings that you felt, or, emotions throughout this thing? That could be finding out about the diagnosis, through the surgeries or treatments that I had to undergo, or even to now, to today. Like, what kind of things were you feeling?
I say worry for sure. I think mostly because, like, I wasn't aware. I didn't have, like, much information on what it was, so, like, it was something that was brand new to me. So I really, like, didn't know how to feel about it, and that's what brought the worry, because I didn't know much about it. And then I'll also say, like, a little scared, honestly, because, like, I hear the word cancer, and, like, it's just kind of like, it's kind of a strong word, so it just kind of brings, like, scared feelings. Then I would probably say, I guess faithful,
Faithful?
Yeah.
That's a strong word. Like, yeah. What do you mean by it?
I say faithful because, like, I know, like, God tells us, like, He's not going to give us more than we can bear. And I know, like, if He were to put this on you, then that means that, like, you're one of His strongest soldiers. So I think that it's a testament to who you are as a person, like, the family that you helped build, that we were all able to, like, come out on top of it.
Okay. You feel like we have come out on top?
I think we came out on top of it when we first figured out the news.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I would agree. Because there's a lot of ways we could have handled it. I think from everybody's perspective. And I don't take any of that for granted. It was tough for me, like I said, and still is at times, to rationalize the fact that I have cancer, even in light of the surgeries, treatments, medications, and things that I've gone and I'm going through. It's still sometimes kind of surreal, like, because you hear about people having cancer, you hear about some of the things it could lead to, some of the things you might experience. And in that moment, like I said, you don't know, how it's going to play out with your individual situation. And two, the nature of prostate cancer itself is that, again, like I've discussed in so many other videos, that this could be something that's, alive and well in your body, and happening to you and you not have any knowledge of it,
Right.
or any knowledge of that it's even going on. Because I didn't have any pain necessarily from it, no kind of disruption in any of my functions. So to get that news at that point, it's like, these are kind of some of your options. It didn't make a whole lot of sense. So then to have to wrap your head around all that and then deliver it to your sons who, you're also getting information that it increases your odds of getting or having prostate cancer. So that can be a lot, so conversations were obviously a tough part of my journey that had to be had. So, but in talking about conversations, what were some of the conversations you had, if you don't mind sharing, and who'd you talk to?
Yeah. So I mean, of course, like first people I told were like my brothers, and those conversations were, of course, since like we had that like sit down conversation and stuff, the conversations were kind of based off of that, like how we felt about it and how we can best move forward to assist you and help you throughout the process, and like how we can be good as brothers and your sons in the situation. And then of course like some of my close friends, and them just kind of like motivating me to be like an intercessor as far as prayer for you, and then like just ways that I can help like support you throughout the situation. They were a great help throughout the process.
Well, that's good to know. I mean, because a lot of times when these things happen in people's lives, for one, they might not have, the patient might not have anybody they can confide in or talk to, but as well as other people involved, like family, and it's good for them to have someone. So it's good. It's comforting to know that you did have someone to talk to. So you mentioned in talking to your friends or whatnot, they kind of reinforced the need or to pray. And obviously, I know you have a prayer life and an understanding of who God is in your life, what He means to you. But how did that? And there's no, let me kind of back up. There's no right or wrong with this conversation. It's just purely your take on it, and there's no judgment. But as honestly as you are willing to share with us, what were your conversations with God like? What was it like? I don't want to preface it by anything.
I say like from the beginning, of course, like you have like the like disappointment kind of like ask Him like why would you let this happen to him and like our family and stuff like that. But you know what I'm saying, over time that kind of like drowns out with like, of course, the faith that we have and like how grounded we are in our faith. And you just kind of get reminded that like this is all like according to His will and His good. So I have to step up and just listen to Him and walk with Him as far as like how He wants me to like move instead of what my feelings and emotions are telling me to move. That makes sense.
Oh no, great sense. I mean, and it's, I understand it's a at least for me, it's been an ongoing conversation, so it wasn't just like a one and done. So my talks with Him are different. Depends on the day, what's going on, what's going on around me as to how my conversation with Him would go. But I know that it's kind of been an evolving conversation. So the way I may have come to Him in the beginning, like right as I was being diagnosed and being given these different options and things, that conversation versus, 3 years down the road and now looking at, recovery and next steps and future, conversations are a little different. The approach is a little different, but what's been constant in my conversations and my prayer has been God. Like, I've changed. He's always kind of been the same when I go to him. But I think that it's important to, regardless of what's going on in our life, that we can find that center and kind of come back home in terms of, because we go to a lot of things, whether it be doctors or medications or remedies or, but at the end of the day, it's really about being connected to him, and having an understanding of that, and that prayer life that we talked about before. So one of the things I mentioned before is that, and this is something obviously like I didn't have knowledge of, but throughout this journey, one of the things that I've picked up is that one of the characteristics of prostate cancer is that once somebody in your immediate family, that being father, brother, it can even be like grandfather, uncle, something like that, has been diagnosed with prostate cancer, it automatically increases your chances of having prostate cancer by about 50%. So that was something too, and that knowledge I actually was willing to participate in a genealogy study or genetic study that the results of that came back and said that there, especially with my immediate family, being my sons, my brothers, and as well as my father, they all would have a 50% chance of having prostate cancer, based on the fact that I tested, or was diagnosed with prostate cancer. So that's something, like I said, it's kind of tough to hear, especially when you got 3 young sons at this stage, and knowing some of the ramifications of prostate cancer. It's tough to hear, but at the same time, it helps to be able to hear that and be armed with that, because then I can come to you guys and say, hey, this is where we are. Like, it's not something that I ball up some information I take to my grave at some point, but it's something that I can share with you, and the knowledge is the key, because definitely, without a doubt, the most important thing that I've learned throughout this is that early detection is the key to overcoming this disease, and that being by, detecting it early. And that the best way to do that is through the PSA level. Yeah. So if I can give you that knowledge, you can get in front of it enough. Yeah, there's some things in which, we'll keep it, straight up above board with you, that, there's some things that might alter lifestyle wise. However, it gives you the opportunity at continuing life. Right. So that's something you'll have to come to grips with. God forbid if any of you get to that point and do have to face this disease. So that was one of my concerns, and it was something I was glad to be able to do. I'm glad it was available. Again, for no other reason, just to arm us with as much information as possible. So that's something that we want to share. One of the things I wanted to ask you too, and throughout this process, is there anything that you've wondered about, or there was any question left, maybe I didn't answer, or, you've been wondering about?
Well, like off real, like when we had the conversation, like I was wondering if like you were keeping certain things out of it to like make it not seem so serious, but like if you weren't, I just wasn't sure like if you were getting like the whole like story as far as like what the consequences are of it.
Mm-hmm.
Like what could possibly happen. I didn't know if you like weren't trying to scare us or things like that.
Well, that's honest. I guess I never really thought that you would be thinking about that or saying it that way. But I definitely was. I think like with anything else, as parents, we have to, your mom and I have always tried to balance being honest with you, with all three of you, keeping you abreast of what's going on, letting you know what could come from it, what it might mean, what it is going to change, what's not going to change, those kind of things. With anything that we're talking about, whether it be, one of us taking a new job, or we're moving as a family, whatever it is. That's always a challenge, especially in our situation, because you guys are 3 years apart, each of you, but especially when you look at like from you to Caleb, I mean, there was, I think thankfully with this situation, you were all at a level that, you could kind of get an understanding as young adults of kind of what was going on. So it wasn't like I was trying to explain to a 6-year-old.
Mm-hmm.
But throughout your life, that's always been a challenge for us as to how we deliver the same information. It's going to have the same consequences, same results to 3 different stages. Like if you were at 3, Jaden's at 6, Caleb's at 9, y'all are going to kind of understand things different levels. So with this, to kind of answer your question, for what I knew at that point, I think we gave you all we had, because there was just so much unknown, and there was so much that we had turned over to faith. I mean, some of the obvious scary things that are associated with cancer are the disease itself, the sickness that can come, the side effects that can come, and ultimately, the death that could, come sooner than we anticipate as it relates to cancer. So all those thoughts are still in your head. And the reason why it becomes a challenge is, as a patient or somebody who's been diagnosed with that, I'm still trying to explain that to myself. Like, could I die? Could I be really sick? I didn't have to worry about losing hair because I ain't have no hair. But I mean, those kind of things, still go through your head. So, as to how then do I address my son? There's some things, I mean, I might temper it a little bit, but we try real hard we tried to put as much as we could out there. I mean, just to kind of let you know where we were, where it was, where I was with it. And, again, as I've talked about in earlier videos, our situation was a little bit different because I was deemed a high risk situation because of a number of things that played into that. But I didn't have the luxury of a lot of time to kind of say, okay, well, how do I approach Brendan? How do I approach Caleb? How do I go to Jada? Even how do I go to your mom? There was some conversations that came quick. And these are not like, what are we gonna have for dinner today conversations. These are life-altering conversations, because you're talking about surgeries or treatments, time out of work, could be missed income. It could, a whole lot of things play into that. At the time we're talking about, we got for us, from father and from us as parents, we're also looking at the fact we got 3 kids in school, in college. We didn't want to impede on that. And we still want to be able to support the things that you guys are doing and not have this, just upturn everybody's life. But so it was tough. So I hope I answered your question. I try not to go around it, but yeah, we answered what we could. We felt like we could as much as we could at that point.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
Yep. Anything else that was you wondering about?
I guess like how are you able to take that step from like being worried to like looking at the brighter side of it? Like, what did that process of getting over that hump look like?
I'll let you know when I get there. I mean, because like I said, it's kind of ongoing. But I see what you're saying. I mean, God and prayer. I mean, it's been something that's been ongoing from, and I've talked about, the day I got the diagnosis and leaving the doctor's office. The prayer was the only thing I had to go to. It was just me, God, and that diagnosis at that point. So the prayer started there. And like I said, it's been an evolving thing because the prayer at that point was a little different than it is, these days. But in terms of how I got over, it was just a continuing conversation. And I've talked about, encouraging others to hold on to your prayer life. If you don't have one, start to develop one. But you have to cultivate that prayer life throughout a process like this, because one thing I've also found is life doesn't stop. Our world seems to be blown up by a diagnosis or some news we just got. However, the rest of the world keeps moving. So, having, like I said, in my situation, it was being high risk as it was. I had to make some decisions real quick. I had to enter into that prayer real quick, stay in that moment. And like I said, I don't think there's a point that I haven't got to yet where I'm like over it, but I think it's allowed me to approach it differently. And just realizing there's still a need for the prayer and everything, even at this stage, but I can just approach it and handle it a little differently. So it strengthened me, I think, because going through the things that we've been through, it makes you stay in the moment. I mean, like a lot of things that happen to us in life, they happen to us, we pray about it, things change, and we move on. But this has been something that makes me stay in front of it. Like it keeps it right there at the forefront because doctor visits are continual. Medication is continual. Treatments are continual. Monitoring is continual. So it's something that's present. And I've actually come to a place to kind of further answer your question. I've come to a place at this point where my prayer has been one of thanks to God for even allowing me to be at a place where I'm still, concerned about where are my numbers now? Where are things now? What does my outcome look like now? Different from pre-surgery or pre-treatment, pre-medication. So, that's, a little bit about how my outlook has changed, how my prayer life has evolved and changed since the diagnosis. So, without a doubt. All right. One of the things that I wanted to ask you too is that, again, I know as a cancer patient, some of the things I was going through, and it was a lot, and I get that piece of it. But again, today is about your perspective. So what was your perspective in terms of, seeing your dad go through diagnosis, seeing your dad go through a couple surgeries, major surgeries, seeing me go through recovery periods, sickness, medications, all those things. What was your perspective of that part of the process? Like, how did you view that?
Like I was saying earlier, it was like a lot of just a lot of worry, like because I wasn't as knowledgeable on it, so it brought a little bit of worry. But also just like it made my relationship with God stronger because, like you were saying earlier, like I had to stop and like stand still in a lot of moments and like just listen to Him and not let like my thoughts like take over. So it was a lot. It was a lot of prayer. It was also a good opportunity for me to like lean on people that like I haven't like, but I usually don't like tend to reach out to, and like talk to them more, like my loved ones and stuff like that. So it was an opportunity to like get closer with them. And then like I knew in my heart that like this situation was like gonna build you and like form you into like an even better man. So like I knew it was gonna be worth it. So I just had to trust that. So like my faith was able to get stronger throughout the whole process.
Okay. Well, I mean, did you, and I personally appreciate that perspective. Did you at any point, did you see what I was, because of what I was going through, did you see it? And you can be honest. Okay, did you see it as making me weaker, or see me as a weaker person or man because of it?
No, I definitely didn't see it as you being weaker. Like I was saying earlier, like for this to be put on you, like God knew you could like withstand it. So that was one of the biggest things that I kind of like hung my hat on, is that like I knew you were able to get through it. And then also like just kind of things that like you've instilled in us since like we were little kids, to like basically just like not back down from like something that's in front of you, and kind of step in front of it and know that like we have somebody that like we call as our rock and our fortress. So just like remembering stuff like that and things that like you've instilled in us, so we know that you're able to like remember things like that.
Okay, you heard some of that?
Yeah.
Okay, well, good. All right. Well, I think this has been a good conversation. I hope it's not the last conversation, because like I said, I think as a family, we've navigated this as being an ongoing thing. So I think our conversations too should be ongoing. So, I hope that we can continue the conversation. Definitely. But in closing, if by chance there ends up being, some younger men, or even somebody's sons that may be watching, or by chance get to watch this video, what would you like to say to him, or it actually could be to her as well? But what would you like to say to somebody else's kids that might be going through this situation? What y'all can give them?
I would say first, like just be patient. Like be patient with your own emotions, your own thoughts. Yes, like it's a lot to take in, but just stand still in it. You know that like we have a God that's stronger than this. It's like bigger than the situation that you're going through. So yes, like be patient with yourself, give yourself grace, but also know that you have like the strength to support and help like whoever is actually going through it, and just be there for them. whether that's like just more text and more checking on them, whether that's praying for them, any way you can, like just try to support them the best way you know how. So,
Very well said. Very well said. Well, hopefully, that will help somebody. That's, like I said, a goal of my channel is to just be able to reach at least one. So those words, I think they're words that they can hang their hat on and grow from. So I want to thank you, son, for again allowing me the opportunity today to converse with you, and appreciate you. And I love you. Appreciate it. Well, as we close out, again, as I always like to say, I want to make sure that everybody takes care as much as possible, but definitely take action. Peace. Brandon. What? I didn't hit record. You joking? Yeah, I'm joking.